Okay, YouTubers, free thinkers, tea drinkers, pareidolia police and space detectives. Today we have a very interesting image, I think, and it's from Sol 646. Now, I've already done a couple of videos on this area and I'll show you a little bit of one of those in a minute. But this is an interesting find and it's very similar to one that was found a few years ago by researcher Martine Graney. And I'm going to show you one of her images in a minute as well and compare the two because it's very similar, and I think we're looking at the same type of thing, or person I should say, on the surface of Mars. Now when you look at this image here, doesn't look much, it's got the orange filter over it, but this Sol is really clear. Now whether it's the angle of the sun or the rover wasn't moving, I do think the reason why a lot of these images are very poor, not just because the camera isn't very high resolution, but I do think that the rover moves very slightly when it takes the images. In other words, it vibrates. And I think that's down to the wind maybe on Mars. Even though it's very windy on Mars, the air pressure is very low, so it doesn't affect things that much, but it doesn't take a lot. And I think the mass cam may be a little bit wobbly. And on certain days the images look really bad and it will very blurry, and on other days they look really quite clear and quite bright, like this one. Now of course that does depend on the light conditions, of course, but this is a good example of a pretty good quality image, and one of the best I've seen from the Mars surface, from the Curiosity anyway, because believe me, most of them are way worse than this. And what we have here is a ridge line, and we have a bunch of rocks and debris lying around, and we have here what resembles, I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it resembles a mummified person. So there's the information. This was taken back, Mars rover Curiosity Sol 646, back in 2014. You can see the date there and the time. Okay, so this was taken years back. In fact, only the rover would only be on Mars for about a year and a half or so, when it less than 2 years when it took this image, and now it's basically not working very well. Let's hope the Curiosity rover does get properly fixed and we don't just get 3 images per month or whatever. It's, of course, it's a perfect example, I think, of what's happening now, of what NASA often do with their sort of missions. If they find something they don't want us to see, they can just turn the mission dark and pretend there's a fault with the instruments on board, like they could be with this. They could just say there's a computer glitch and then carry on with the mission and not show us any images. How easy would that be? Very easy, of course. But of course it may just be genuine, either. The problem is about 1/3 of the public, I think about 30% of the public, don't actually trust NASA to tell us the truth about such things, because they have a track record of hiding things, and maybe not their fault. It may be the people that control them who are stopping them showing us stuff. There's the raw image here, the raw clip of what I just showed you, and here is a basic enhancement, and when I say basic I mean basic. You can see, apart from the annotations I've added, there's very little difference between this and that, apart from the colour. I've put a colour filter on it just to make it easier to look at. But there's very little enhancement done here at all. And what you can see is a head here, and what seem to be bags. This looks like a rucksack, and you've got like a pocket here, just here. And the top of the bag, it looks like the bag is open here. It's getting closer. With this thing in it. Now, whether that's part of the top of the bag, I don't know. But it seems to be an object sticking out here, which is kind of oval shaped. Don't know what it is, with these kind of bead-like structures around the edge. Now, rocks don't have beads on them. So whatever else you think about this image, whether this is an old lady with bags, of course it may not be. Whatever you think about it, this does not look natural. Rocks do not have equally distant bead-like structures around them like this. Fossils can do, depending on what some sea creatures can. Now look carefully at this bag. Now I've called it a bag because that's what it looks like. It may not be, of course. There seems to be a pocket here, and there's some detail at the bottom here. There's some more bead-like structures here, almost like teeth. Now this on the left here looks to me like her arm, which is wrapped in a, she may be shrouded in a big kind of blanket type shroud. And this looks like a hand here, perhaps, holding something here. Now, it'd probably be easier if I actually get this up here. I've got it in my graphics processor here. This is the head, right? With a point, okay? You've got two eyes, which I think are pretty clear. Just there. You've got a nose here, and you've even got a little chin and what the two teeth. Like that, okay? You look carefully, you've got one there and one there. And you got, so those are sticking out, and you've got a little chin here underneath, right? And this seems to be an arm coming down here. And this looks a bit to me like a hand sticking out, holding something, a thumb here, and holding this thing, whatever this is, hanging over like this, okay? And there's some weird little details in there which are really interesting. Now, it doesn't make immediate visual sense because, of course, they may not have the same number of fingers as us. If this is a little mummified Martian, he or she may be wearing gloves, like mittens or something, and holding something here, which is coming around to here, which may be attached to this bag here, perhaps, with a pocket. There's the top of the pocket there, and there's the pocket that comes around like that. Could it be? I think it could. And the only reason I recognised this when I saw it is because I'd already worked with Martine Graney, the image here of the Mars Man and Woman. Now, incidentally, there's a hell of a lot of similarities between these images. And the scale, for one, is exactly the same. So if this is a person, it's only about a foot tall from here to here, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, I don't know exactly. The same size as these two here. Now this looks like the Mars Man and Woman. Most of you probably have seen this video, and I've brightened this up a bit, and you can see the lady on the left, the man on the right, and the lady's arm coming round here, and you got the face here. There's the eyes for the woman with hair tied up, and the nose pretty clear, and the man here with quite amazing eye detail, and a sort of big nose there, and a sort of jutting chin. And a lot of people have said these look like bags, and I do agree, this looks like a bag here. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll show you a bit of that video now, just to show you what I mean, because it's hard to get your head around this stuff, because here's the raw image of the man and woman, and they are exactly the same size, and may even be related to this woman, if this is a woman, and not just a pile of rocks, of course. I'm going to play that through a little bit, because it shows you the enhancements. You can see what there's a bag here, and a bag here with lots of items lying on the ground, and another bag here perhaps. Some people have said it looks like she's holding a baby or something here. I couldn't tell you either way, but there are some very interesting details in here. And I took quite a while enhancing this and trying to bring out these details. You've got an arm coming round and what looks like a couple of bags. That's why I think what we're looking at today may be one of these little people with bags, or sacks, or rucksacks, whatever you want to call them. Incidentally, there's a weird thing here, which kind of looks mechanical, and what looks like a little weapon just there, a hand weapon, okay, with a trigger. So check this video out if you haven't seen it already. it's a little bit dark. In fact, I should have really brightened this up a lot more, looking back at it. It does get brighter. So do check that video out, because there's some astonishing details in there, and I compare it to Martine's original find and her image, and show that as well. So full credit to her for that, of course. She found that way back. It actually says here, first found by Martine Graney, 23rd of the 12th, 2012, years ago. This is an old find now, but a classic one, and one of the best, as far as I'm concerned, and many other researchers. This is a classic find, and what I've done, I've put them both on Mars Magazine page here for you to compare to. And if you want to download them, come along to Mars Magazine on Facebook, and you can click on these and download them if you like, and compare the two. What I may do is actually put another one here and upload a brighter version of this, because this is a little bit dark, I think. I used to go in a bit dark with these images. Now I brighten them up a lot more. Okay, so you can compare these back to back, like I've got here. Okay, so is it? I'm not saying it is. This is speculation, of course, but when you have lots of things that look very similar and are the same scale and have the same kind of morphology and the same kind of faces with kind of funny little gnome-like features, then you've got to start thinking, well, maybe this is actually real. I always try and keep a little bit of skepticism with the finds I make, because, of course, we can't verify them by walking up to these things and taking samples. And NASA don't seem interested in any of these finds on Mars, whether they're craniums or bits of wreckage or whatever. They just ignore them and go about their routine and just never say anything about anything. So are they keeping secrets from us? Has the rover broke down for a reason? Or has it even broke down at all? Are they being disingenuous with this? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not saying they are. But the details in this are really quite tantalising. You've got these beads here, all in a row around the edge of this thing, like that. Okay, that was a bit crude, but you can see them. And there, even in the raw image, you can see them quite clearly. And some of the details here are a bit hard to make out, because, of course, we don't necessarily understand exactly how this person is sat. I mean, this person may be partially buried. And to me, this looks like a hand here with gloves on, holding something, but I could be wrong here, of course. And to me, this looks like the top of the bag coming over here, and the rest of the bag here, coming round. But it may all be attached to this. That's kind of being held like that, and this may be part of the arm coming through. Don't know. It's a very tantalising image, and if you look at the facial detail, that does it for me, really. You've got two quite prominent brow ridges. You've got eyes here, nose here, a little pug-like nose, like a lot of the craniums I've found have got very pug-like faces. Got what looks like two teeth coming down, and a little chin there, and a point to the head, as if wearing a hat or some kind of headgear that comes around like this. Okay, that's pretty crude, but it gives you a rough idea. There we are. So do check out this previous video if you haven't seen it already. It's up here. It's called Mars, Man and Woman, and it's had about 130,000 views now. It's a bit of a slow burner, this one. It's been doing well for years, but gradually. It didn't go viral immediately, like a lot of these things don't. And especially with controversial finds like this one. This is in the same area, this video. Mars soldier found head in helmet, and it deals with the same set of images. So this is right next to it. In fact, what I'll do, I'll show you some of the other things I found quickly. A lot of these things are pretty vague and don't really look like anything. There was this, which is nearby. Now this, I've enhanced this just very slightly. There's what looks like a little kind of gnome-like figurine here. Doesn't have a lot of detail. This is tiny. This is probably only an inch or two high. You've got a gnome-like hat with a little nose and a little eye and an eye there and a little chin. next to a rather strange object here, which could be a figurine. As I've said many times before, I do think that what we're seeing with a lot of these things are not actual Martians at all. A lot of them look like burial figurines, or little carved figurines that were perhaps buried with some of the Martians in this area, which I think is a burial area. And I do think that a lot of these ridges and mounds were actual burial mounds. There was loads of other things that were found just here, and I have done videos about this before, and one of my favourites was this one. That's a cranium, elongated, with another what looks like a little one, or perhaps statuette kind of head there, like a little statue head just behind it. So this doesn't look carved. This looks like an actual specimen with an eye and teeth here. It's got a bit smaller, be a little bit easier to focus on. There we are. And you got a little head behind it. What are the chances of that? Yes. So even in the raw image, you can see I haven't really enhanced it very much at all. I've just brightened it up and added a colour filter to it. And that number is wrong. That should be 646. It says 642 on there. I put the wrong number on it. So there are lots of these things in the area. And there's that thing. Okay. That's the head in the helmet. That's there. And take note of the helmet kind of details here. You've got this circular part. The parts coming off it. So do go back and watch this video, Mars Soldier Found. It explains all that stuff here, and I'll put links to the other videos that show stuff from this sol as well, from this images taken on this day, because there's so much here. It's absolutely insane. These ridge lines are absolutely littered with things. Here's what looks like the mummified old lady just there, but I'll over brighten this one so it doesn't look that clear. But there are hundreds and hundreds of little rocks here, but amongst them are some very interesting things. And they're not all rocks. The little figurine there, look, that little thing with the pointed hat, just there, little figurine. There's that, what looks like a little cranium there. There's that strange rock structure, whatever that is. Looks like a piece of wreckage or something that was attached to something else, maybe. There's that possible cranium there. Okay, I'll quickly go over and I'll show you that other elongated cranium, just there, with the teeth. You can see the teeth there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Little head behind it. I'm beginning to think that may be a cranium there as well. This is absolutely littered with stuff, and obviously a lot of these are rocks, of course they are. There's the head in helmet there. Maybe part of a statue, but I actually think that's an actual head that's mummified and rotted away, showing the bone with a helmet. And it's not the first one I found. There are many others. There's the cat-like head. So you could go on and on and on about this set of images here. This is absolutely rammed with stuff. There we have it. I'm going to get in real close for you. For those of you that are on mobile devices, it's getting nice and close. There we are, look. Look at that. 2 eyes, a nose, a couple of teeth there, a chin, and a rather gnome-like pointed hat or headgear. Okay, there we have it. So I won't go on any longer. I'll put all the clips in from this Gigapan that I've done, all in a few seconds. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and give the thumbs up, because if these videos don't get over 100 thumbs up in the first couple of days, they get shelved by YouTube and they just get left in no man's land. So thanks for watching. I will see you soon.